Hi, I'm Paul Guppy with the Washington Policy Center, and here's our weekly update on issues affecting the people of our state. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Our audience is growing. In fact, we've just hit record numbers of subscribers at over 20,000, so we're pleased about that. This week, I'll be talking about follow-up on the plastic bag ban, and second issue is, are new taxes coming? Also, a new government accountability measure that we have put together, WPC's take on the big government shutdown that's going on, and then we have two special legislative elections that are going on around the state, and I'll just touch those briefly at the end. But first off, let's talk about the infamous plastic bag ban that was introduced and passed with great fanfare, great hoopla. These campaigns go on, and then the bill passes. Seattle passed a plastic bag ban. Washington State did as well. But nobody ever follows up, well, except us, to find out what actually happened. In this case, however, the Department of Ecology did ask, let's see, it was, I want to get the right university here, WSU researchers were asked to follow up on the plastic bag ban and see what environmental benefits it had, as its sponsors overwhelmingly promised everybody this is going to help the planet. Turns out that it didn't help the planet. If anything, it makes environmental conditions worse, because the replacement bags use more energy, more water, more resources than the thin throwaway plastic bags. Also, as Todd Myers pointed out in studies that he did, consumers tend to reuse the plastic bags, so they don't always get thrown away. When they do get thrown away, they go to the landfill in a controlled, reasonable way. They don't get just thrown into the environment. So our name for this is the stupid and pointless, ridiculous plastic bag ban. I think it's just an exercise in compliance on the part of the environmental left. It's all about disrupting people's normal lifestyles in order to get people to sort of dance, to comply with a ban or a change in consumer practices. And this is supposed to feel virtuous and make you feel like you're saving the planet. It turns out, again, follow-up studies show it does none of those things. It's purely a kabuki exercise that means nothing. Environmentalists and advocates and politicians who campaign on these issues, I think, count on people forgetting, obeying with the ban, following, doing what you're told, and then later forgetting to follow up and find out whether any of the promises that they made are true. The reason I say that is because you never hear about the plastic bag ban anymore. Big issue for a season, and then it disappears. We do the follow-up. We find out that politics and symbolism tends to trump science and data. And since we hear constantly from the other side, we should follow the science. Washington Policy Center agrees. In this case, plastic bag bans are doing nothing, or as Washington State University discovered, researchers there, that it's actually harming the environment by using more resources. So if you could repeal the plastic bag bans, and that would actually be better for the environment than staying the way we are. Next issue is we strongly suspect that new taxes are being set up for enactment in the legislative sessions, which starts in next January. We already see the narrative being put in place that the state is short on money. The September revenue forecast showed that revenues were, quote, down $412 million in the current budget, compared to recent estimates beforehand. And the reason I put it that way, as our regular viewers will know, is revenues are not down $412 million. They just didn't collect as much as they expected by a shortfall, again, quote unquote, of $412 million. So the state has more money than ever before. The state's budget problem is created by overspending decisions, policy choices that the legislature makes to spend money out of the Treasury far beyond the tax burden that we are all paying into the Treasury. I always like to point out that there are reasonable alternatives. In the session earlier this year, the Republican minority proposed a budget based on existing rising revenues with no new taxes that funded all current government services plus increases. The Democrats voted that budget down and instead voted an even bigger budget, which has led to, again, the false shortfall or budget gap that they say that they're facing today. To look at the big picture, and we pointed this out before, but we believe in starting from a reasonable base. Back in 2013, the state general fund budget was $33.6 billion. Today, it is $77.8 billion. You can see that in absolute terms, that is a more than doubling of the spending that the state has had over the last 10 years or so. But even if you factor in inflation and population growth, that level of increase is still 48% above what it was just 10 years ago or so. So you could say that in real adjusted terms, the size and the burden, the financial burden that the government places on the people of our state has increased by 48%. And that is the result of overspending. And yet, majority legislators still complain, we don't have enough money. You have to pay more, like we're taking more out of your family budget so it can go to the state treasury. And to me, this is like a big overweight hippo saying that he doesn't have enough to eat. No matter how much you feed this thing, it is always going to demand more. But if we were getting great results and our state were doing better because of all this overspending, then maybe there would be less reason for complaint. But again, the Tax Foundation has found that our business rankings have dropped. We have fallen 39 places. We were once 6th best in business environment, which makes sense given our innovative history. And today we have fallen to 45th among the states in business environment. We are also the 8th highest in business failure rate in the country. So lots of churning, lots of business failures. And that just shows that I think there are clear indicators that Washington state is losing its edge. Those of us who grew up in the state know that Washington has been known for being innovative, entrepreneurial, dynamic, new tech industries, aerospace, but also resources, small businesses, great thriving communities. We've been known for that. And I think that is the reputation that we are losing. And gradually, by the time our state leaders wake up to that, I really think it'll be too late. That's why we're doing the early warning call. Also, so we have created a measure of accountability called the Report Card for Washington. It's on our website, easy to see, and our staff has been blogging about it as well, showing different measures. And this provides objective, real-time standard of accountability. And by the way, as with all of our research, the data comes from government sources itself. And so the reason we put this together is to replace, Jay Inslee had talked for years about Results Washington. That turned out to be a failure. He shut down his own Results Washington website himself and just we only used it for campaigning purposes and didn't actually deliver results for the people of our state. Our WPC fellow John Bernard has written a guest op-ed for the Seattle Times, which I highly recommend, in which he explains the failure of Results Washington and how we need new accountability measures to show how our state is doing. Next, I'll address the grand government shutdown that is happening nationally. That, of course, is going to affect us here in Washington state. This is boiled down to a fight over Medicaid subsidies. Elizabeth New on our staff has written about this on our blog if you want to look at the details about how it affects us. The primary debate is going on about healthcare subsidies for illegal residents in the United States. The reason this impacts Washington in particular is that our legislature has made illegal residents of the state eligible for subsidized healthcare benefits, also for in-state tuition, for driver's licenses, for a whole range of other benefits. And so when the federal government pulls back, state money is used to fill that in. That's how it's affecting us. What the federal law is proposing, the administration, is rolling back the COVID era enhancements on healthcare benefits and then adding safeguards against fraud, providing ID requirements, and ending double payments where the public is asked to pay for insurance coverage for people who already have insurance through another way. So all of those safeguards are in place. That's what the Democrats want to repeal nationally. That's why you get this argument back and forth about are illegal aliens getting healthcare benefits or not. We are not getting involved in that so much. Our concern is how does it impact the state budget? Because again, lawmakers say that they're short on funds. These Medicaid safeguards and reforms save money and make the program more stable, no doubt about it. So we hope that at the national level, the federal government is able to maintain those safeguards. Also, overspending is created because when federal nonprofits, I guess, lose their federal funding because of changes at the national level, Democrats in our state often jump in to backfill that funding with state money. That happened with Planned Parenthood. in Washington State that lost $11 million in federal funding. Washington State is stepping in to provide that $11 million. And then they turn around and say that they don't have enough money. So it's decisions like that that lead to the overspending that I mentioned. But there's a larger issue here, and I'll wrap up this discussion on this. The larger issue, beyond dollars and the budget and new taxes coming, those are all important. But more importantly is how these debates undermine the public's trust in the people that are running the government. There is a social compact where we agree to pay our taxes, to be good law-abiding citizens, to vote for what we hope are fiscally responsible people to be in office. And then we have to be in a position to trust what they tell us. When we find out that they're changing the program, they're extending it, they're providing subsidies to people who are in the state illegally, that undermines the public's faith and belief that when politicians pitch a program that they say is going to create healthcare affordability for all, we're really at the point where most people just don't believe that. So none of us wants to live in a society where you can't trust what public officials tell us. And the larger issue we see is that these debates over Medicaid or the budget gap or taxes end up undermining people's trust in the government, and it just makes it harder for us to have a prosperous and healthy state. With that, I'll wrap up with what's going on with two special elections that are coming up for the legislature. These are for Senate positions, the 26th district and the 5th district. I'll focus particularly on the 26th district, which is the Gig Harbor, Bremerton area. There's a Senate race there. The Democrats, there was a vacancy. The Democrats appointed someone to that position who is now running for a full term, and the Republicans are challenging. The Republicans look like they have a good chance for a pickup. The Washington Observer reports that Senator John Brown's Leadership Council has put $218,000 into this race. That's major investment. And it's possible that the Republicans will win that Senate seat. They may also win the seat in the 5th district as well. If that were to happen, it would not change the majority makeup in the legislature. Democrats are very much in control. But what it would do is narrow the Democrats' majority. And again, we are always looking for the deeper message. It would show a vote from the public in these two districts that the public is dissatisfied with the direction that the Democrats are going. They want to bring rebalance to Olympia, build up the opposition Republican Party in order to counterbalance some of what the Democrats are doing. So we'll see how those two races turn out. Those are going to the ballot in November this fall. They're special elections, as I said. Lastly, I'll mention again about the school scholarships petition that we have on our website. I had some questions from people in our comments and emailing me wanting to sign the petition that we are sending to the governor, asking him to make Washington State students eligible for the new school choice scholarships that have been created by the Trump administration. You can do that by going to our homepage, and then there's a tab that says Take Action. So the Take Action page goes directly to the petition that we're going to send to the governor, and that's how you find that on our site. And of course, our exciting events are coming up. Our Young Professionals Dinner is tonight, Saturday night in Bellevue. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to that. And then also our major Spokane dinner is happening on October 10th, and that's at the Spokane Convention Center, and there are still tickets and table sponsorships available for that. So with that, I'll wrap up and say thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.
If you found this informative, share it with a friend and consider checking out one of our suggested videos over here. Make sure you're subscribed so that you can stay up to date with the latest policy news from Washington.